Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English in Minutes 2.0. I'm Emma, your host for today. And if you're new here, I'd love to tell you that we upload a new English learning video every day on this channel to help you improve your English faster, more naturally, and with more confidence. In today's lesson, you are going to practice something very powerful for real English fluency, daily life English conversations. This means you will listen to natural English that people really use in everyday situations, and at the same time, you will build your understanding of how English works in real life. In this episode, you will not only improve your English listening skills, but also strengthen your English writing, vocabulary, sentence flow, and overall speaking confidence. Today, we are going to explore daily life English, conversations, in a deeper and more useful way. You will learn how to understand natural English in common situations, how to notice advanced English phrases inside simple daily communication, and how to use those expressions to sound more fluent and more natural when you speak. We will go through real-life style examples that will help you catch natural sentence patterns, improve your comprehension, and build stronger English, step by step. Whether you are talking about your routine, asking for help, making plans, sharing opinions, solving small problems, or simply trying to express yourself more clearly. This lesson will help you feel more comfortable with real English, and by the end of this video, you will have learned many useful daily expressions and advanced phrases that can help you become a more fluent and confident English speaker. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. If you want more helpful English learning lessons like this every day. So, grab a pen and paper, relax, focus, and let's get started. Let's begin with a very real kind of English that many learners need, but many learners do not practice enough. The kind of English people use when the day is already moving, when plans are changing, when someone is a little tired, a little busy, and still needs to communicate clearly. Imagine this scene. Olivia has just finished work in downtown Chicago, and her friend Ethan sends her a message, asking if she is still free to meet. Olivia replies, "I'm wrapping things up right now, but I can meet you in about 20 minutes. That sentence is natural, useful, and very common. I'm wrapping things up right now is much more advanced and natural than simply saying, I am finishing. Native speakers often use phrases like wrap things up, head out, run a little late, and catch up in daily conversations. So if Olivia says, I'm wrapping things up right now, and then I'll head out, she sounds smooth, natural, and fluent. If Ethan replies, no problem, I'm just grabbing a coffee and killing time until you get here, that is another powerful example. Killing time means using time while waiting. It does not mean anything violent here. It is simply a very common English expression. Already, in one tiny situation, you can hear how daily life English includes short but powerful phrases that make speech sound more advanced. Now, listen carefully to how this kind of conversation grows in a natural way. Ethan says, take your time. Traffic is usually a mess around this hour anyway. Olivia says, yeah, that's true. I might take the train. instead of driving. Ethan answers, "That's probably your best bet." The phrase, "your best bet," means your smartest or safest option. This is exactly the kind of phrase that helps you sound more natural in English. You do not always need long, difficult vocabulary to sound advanced. Very often, advanced English means using the right phrase at the right moment. That's probably your best bet. Sounds much more fluent than that is the best option for you. Both are correct, but one sounds more natural in everyday speech. This is an important lesson for you. Fluency is not only about grammar, fluency is also about rhythm, so phrase choice, and knowing how people actually speak. In real situations, let's practice this together in a way that helps your listening and speaking at the same time. I will give you a situation, then I will show you a natural response, and then I want you to imagine saying it out loud. Chloe is texting her brother Ryan because she is on her way to meet him at a bookstore in Seattle. She writes, "I'm almost there, but I may be a few minutes behind." That is a polite and natural way to say you will be late. Ryan replies, "That's fine. I haven't checked out yet." Notice that he does not say, "I did not pay yet." He says, "I haven't checked out yet." That phrase is tied to the situation, and that makes the English feel real. Then Chloe says, "Perfect. I was worried I'd keep you waiting." Ryan replies, "Don't worry about it. I'm in no rush." That expression, "I'm in no rush," is another excellent daily phrase. It means there is no need to hurry. Now, say these ideas in your mind. I may be a few minutes behind. I haven't checked out yet. I was worried I'd keep you waiting. I'm in no rush. These are the kinds of lines that appear again and again in daily life. One thing that will help you build advanced English faster is learning how simple situations connect to emotional meaning. For example, when someone says, "I was worried I'd keep you waiting," they are not only giving information, they are showing politeness, care, and social awareness. Daily conversations are full of these emotional signals. That is why learning English through daily life conversations is so effective. You are not just memorizing vocabulary, you are learning how people manage relationships, show respect, express uncertainty, and react naturally. Let's take another example. Madison calls her friend Ava and says, "Hey, I hate to do this, but I need to rain check on dinner tonight." Rain check is a wonderful phrase. It means you cannot do something now, but you want to do it later. Ava replies, "Oh no, everything okay?" Madison says, "Yeah, everything's fine. Work just piled up at the last minute." The phrase, "piled up," means accumulated quickly. Then Ava says, "Got it, we can do it another time." Madison answers, "Thanks for being understanding. I really appreciate it." This is everyday English, but it is rich, with advanced, natural phrase patterns. Now, let's slow down and examine why these phrases matter so much. "I hate to do this" is softer and more polite than "I cannot come." "I need to rain check" sounds natural and friendly. "Work piled up" gives a clear picture. "Thanks for being understanding" shows appreciation in a mature way. If you learn to use these phrases comfortably, your English will start sounding more human and less translated. That is the goal. You do not want to sound like a dictionary. You want to sound like a person. So here is a short speaking exercise, in paragraph form, for you. Imagine you had plans with a friend in Los Angeles, but now, you need to cancel because something unexpected happened. You could say, "Hey, I hate to do this, but I need to rain check on tonight. Something came up at work, and I'm still trying to sort it out. I was really looking forward to seeing you, so I hope we can do this another day." That paragraph is a full communication model. It explains, softens, and keeps the relationship warm. Read that kind of English, out loud, again and again, and you will build confidence, naturally. Let's move to another common part of daily life, casual conversation, before doing something practical. Tyler and Hannah are standing in line at a grocery store in Denver. Tyler says, "This line is moving a lot slower than I expected." Hannah replies, "Yeah, but at least we picked the shortest one." Tyler says, "True, it could be worse." That short sentence, "yo could be worse," is extremely common. In English, it is used when something is mildly annoying, but still manageable. Hannah then notices that Tyler is holding only a few items and says, "You can go ahead of me if you want. You've only got a couple of things." Tyler replies, "Are you sure? That's really nice of you." Hannah says, "Of course, it's no big deal." "It's no big deal" is another daily phrase you should own. It means something is not a problem. Small interactions like this are full of useful English because they teach tone, politeness, and natural response patterns. Now, imagine this same kind of situation, but you are the one speaking. You are in a store, in Boston, and someone lets you go ahead in line. Do not answer with a flat, textbook sentence only. Try something warmer and more natural. You could say, "Really? Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm in a bit of a hurry today." Or, "That's kind of you. I'll be quick." Or, if you want to refuse politely, "Thanks, but you're fine. I can wait." All of these responses sound more socially natural than simply saying, "Thank you." Simple English is good, but rich, natural English helps you connect better. That is why we are not only studying words today, we are studying social fluency, how English moves between people in ordinary life. A very important area of daily conversation is making small adjustments when plans are not exact. Real life is rarely hand perfect. People arrive late, forget things, change locations, or need more time. So you need English that can handle that smoothly. Imagine Emma is meeting her friend Lauren near a movie theater in Austin. Lauren texts, "I'm here, but I think I'm on the wrong side of the building." Emma replies, "No worries, stay where you are, and I'll come find you." That phrase, "stay where you are," is practical and natural. Then Lauren says, "I'm standing near the side entrance, next to a taco place." Emma answers, "Okay, I know exactly where that is. Be there in a second." Be there in a second does not always mean exactly 1 second. It means very soon. Then when Emma arrives, Lauren says, "Sorry about that. I got turned around." That expression, "I got turned around," means I became confused about direction. This is a beautiful daily way phrase because it sounds so natural and common. If you say only, I was confused, that is correct. But I got turned around sounds more native. In that exact situation, let's build your practice with a longer example. Imagine you are meeting someone in San Diego, but you cannot find the entrance to the building. You call your friend and say, Hey, I'm here, but I think I came in on the wrong side. I'm near a parking garage, and I'm not seeing the main entrance anywhere. I may have gotten turned around. Can you tell me where you are? Or should I just stay put? That is excellent. Daily life English. It is descriptive, calm, and realistic. Now, so imagine the reply. Yeah, stay put. I know where that is. I'm heading your way now. You're actually closer than you think. That line, you're actually closer than you think, is very natural and encouraging. Read this whole exchange, slowly, then again, with confidence. This is how you train your ear and your speaking at the same time. Another powerful area of advanced daily English is soft opinion language. In real conversations, people do not always speak in absolute ways. They soften their opinions to sound thoughtful, polite, or open-minded. For example, Megan and Caleb are deciding where to eat in Portland. Megan says, I'm kind of in the mood for something light. Notice the phrase, kind of in the mood for. That is very useful. Caleb says, I was thinking the same thing, actually. Megan continues, there's a place, Sasha around the corner, that has really good salads and sandwiches. Caleb says, that sounds good to me. I'm not too picky. Then Megan adds, the only downside is that it gets pretty crowded around this time. Caleb replies, that's okay, as long as the food is worth it. I'm in. In that short exchange, you hear soft opinion, agreement, a mild concern, and a flexible response. This is exactly how many daily conversations work. Here's what I want you to notice. I'm kind of in the mood for something light. Sounds softer than, I want light food. I was thinking the same thing. Creates connection. The only downside is, introduces a concern in a smooth way. As long as the food is worth it, I'm in. Shows easygoing agreement. These patterns make your English feel more advanced because they reflect real communication, not just grammar exercises. So now, let's turn this into a practice paragraph. Imagine your friend asks, what you want for dinner, and you want to sound natural and fluent. You could say, I'm kind of in the mood for something simple tonight. I don't want anything too heavy, and I'd rather go somewhere quiet, if possible. There's a place downtown that I've been meaning to try, but I've heard it gets crowded after 7. Still, if the food is good, I'd say it's worth a shot. That is strong, natural, everyday English with advanced phrasing. I've been meaning to try is another useful expression. It means you have wanted to do something for some time. Let's continue with one more daily situation that learners often need: checking on someone, following up, and staying connected. Daily conversations are not always about requests or plans. Sometimes they are about care and attention. Sophie texts Daniel and says, Hey, just checking in. How did your interview go? Daniel replies, Honestly, I think it went pretty well. I was nervous at first, but once we got into the conversation, I felt more at ease. That phrase, more at ease, means more comfortable. Sophie says, "That's great to hear. I had a feeling you'd do well." Daniel answers, "I hope so. It's hard to tell sometimes, but at least I know. I gave it my best shot." I gave it my best shot is a beautiful daily expression. It means, I did my best. Sophie then replies, "That's all you can do. Now, try not to overthink it." Try not to overthink it is another very natural line. This is daily English, at its best, supportive, real, and emotionally intelligent. Now, practice a similar style with your own voice. Imagine a friend in Nashville had a big presentation today, and you want to check on them afterward. You might say, "Hey, just wanted to check in and see how your presentation went. I know you were preparing for it all week, so I've been thinking about you. I hope it went smoothly, but even if it felt a little stressful, I'm sure you handled it well." That paragraph sounds caring and natural. If your friend replies, "It went better than I expected. Honestly, I stumbled a little in the beginning, but then I found my rhythm." That gives you even more useful English. "I stumbled a little in the beginning," and "I found my rhythm" are both excellent phrases for real conversation. As you keep listening to these situations, you should begin to notice a very important truth. Advanced English is not separate from daily English. Advanced English grows inside daily English when you start choosing better phrases, softer transitions, more natural responses, and more expressive sentence patterns. You do not need to speak in a complicated way all the time. You need to speak in a natural way with control, awareness, and flexibility. That is how fluency develops. So keep listening carefully, keep repeating the natural phrases, and keep imagining yourself inside these real-life situations. That is where your English becomes stronger, clearer, and more alive. Let's keep building this skill by moving into another area where real English becomes more natural and more advanced, handling everyday problems without sounding awkward, too direct, or too simple. This is one of the biggest differences between basics, English, and fluent English. Fluent speakers know how to explain small problems calmly, clearly, and naturally. Imagine this scene in Philadelphia. Grace is at a cafe, waiting for her order, and after several minutes, she notices that people who ordered after her have already been served. She walks to the counter and says, "Hi, I just wanted to check on my order. I think there may have been a mix-up." That sentence is excellent. It is polite, calm, and natural. She does not say, "Where is my food?" She says, "I just wanted to check on my order." And then, "I think there may have been a mix-up." That phrase, "there may have been a mix-up," is extremely useful. It lets you mention a problem without sounding aggressive. The employee replies, "Oh, let me take a look. I'm sorry about that." Grace says, "No worries. I just wanted to make. I sure it didn't get missed." Again, that is natural daily English. "I just wanted to make sure it didn't get missed" sounds much smoother than "you forgot it." Now, say pause and notice the emotional intelligence in that exchange. Grace is not only speaking English, She is managing the tone of the situation. She is protecting the conversation from becoming tense. This is what fluent daily communication often looks like. You say what you need, but you say it in a way that keeps the interaction comfortable. Let's practice that pattern with another situation. Dylan ordered a package to his apartment in Miami, but the delivery says it arrived, and he cannot find it. He calls customer support and says, "Hi, I'm reaching out because my tracking information says the package was delivered, but I haven't been able to locate it." That is much more natural than saying, "My package is missing." Then he adds, "I've already checked around my building and with the front desk, but no one seems to have it." The phrase, "I'm reaching out because," is very common in professional and polite everyday English. It sounds especially natural on phone calls and in messages. The support agent replies, "I understand. Let me pull up the details and see what I can find." Dylan says, "I'd appreciate that." That short reply is mature, polite, and fluent. A very strong habit for advanced daily English is learning how to explain what you already tried before asking for help. This makes your speech clearer and more organized. For example, if something is not working, do not stop at "it doesn't work." Add more detail in a natural way. Imagine Lily is in a parking garage in Atlanta and the payment machine is not responding. She says to the attendant, "Hi, I'm having trouble with the machine. I tried tapping my card a few times, but it doesn't seem to be going through." That is excellent real-life English. "I'm having trouble with" is a phrase you should use often. It sounds much better than simply saying, "There is a problem." Then she could add, "I wasn't sure if I was doing something wrong or if the system is just slow today." That sentence is beautiful because it sounds flexible and polite. It leaves room for uncertainty without blame. The attendant replies, "You're fine. That machine has been acting up all afternoon." Acting up is another powerful daily phrase. It means not working correctly or behaving badly. Learners love these expressions because they are short, natural, and widely used. Let's turn this into a speaking practice paragraph. Imagine your phone suddenly stops connecting to the Wi-Fi in a hotel in Las Vegas. You go to the front desk, and say, "Hi, I'm having trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi in my room. I've already tried restarting my phone and reconnecting to the network, but it still isn't working. I wasn't sure if the issue was on my end or if there's something going on with the service today." That paragraph is exactly the kind of English that helps you in real life. It is descriptive, polite, and efficient. And now, why imagine the reply. "Thanks for letting us know. We've had a few guests mention the same thing, so it may be a temporary issue. We're looking into it right now." Notice how calm and professional that sounds. The more you practice these paragraph-style exchanges, the more confident you will become when life is not going perfectly. Another important part of daily life English is making conversation when you run into someone unexpectedly. These little surprise moments happen all the time, and they are great for building fluency because they often begin casually and then move into deeper conversation. Imagine Noah is walking through a bookstore in Minneapolis. when he suddenly sees his old friend Claire. He says, "Wow, I haven't seen you in forever." That phrase, "in forever," is very common. Claire smiles and says, "I know. It's been ages." Noah replies, "What have you been up to?" That is one of the most common conversation openers in English. Claire says, "Honestly, just trying to stay busy. Work has been keeping me on my toes lately." Keeping me on my toes means forcing me to stay alert and active. Noah answers, "I can relate. Things have been nonstop, on my end too." On my end is another useful expression. It means in my situation or from my side of life. Then Claire says, "We should catch up properly sometime." Noah replies, "Definitely. Let's not leave it this long again." That whole exchange is very realistic and full of phrases that native speakers use all the time. Now, imagine yourself in that situation. You unexpectedly meet someone you have not seen for a long time in Dallas. Try this paragraph out loud. "Hey, wow, I haven't seen you in forever. How have you been? I feel like life has been moving so fast lately. What have you been up to these days? We should really catch up sometime, when things slow down a little." This is natural, warm, and easy to remember. Notice how the English is not complicated, but the phrase choices make it sound fluent. "Life has been moving so fast lately" sounds human. "When things slow down a little" is a natural way to say when life becomes less busy. These are the pieces of English that make you sound relaxed and real. Let's go deeper into the language of everyday opinions and reactions, because daily conversations are full of small judgments, preferences, and responses. Imagine Scarlett and Mason are leaving a crowded event in Phoenix. Scarlett says, "That was better than I expected." Mason replies, "Yeah, same here. I thought it was going to be kinda dull, but it turned out to be pretty interesting." The phrase, "it turned out to be," is a great connector. In English, it is used when the final result is different from what you expected. Scarlett then says, "The beginning was a little slow, but once it picked up, I was into it." Once it picked up means once it became more exciting or active. Mason replies, "Exactly. It took a minute to get going, but it found its rhythm." "It took a minute" does not always mean exactly 1 minute. It often means it took a little time, and "it found its rhythm" means it became smoother or more effective. These small reactions are extremely important because so much of daily conversation is about responding naturally to experiences. Here is a useful fluency exercise. Think of something you recently watched, attended, or tried. Now, describe it with natural English. That includes balance and nuance. You might say, "At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. The beginning was a little slow, and I had trouble getting into it. But once it picked up, I started to enjoy it. By the end, I was glad I gave it a chance." That paragraph is powerful. "I had trouble getting into it" is a common expression for not connecting with something. "At first, I was glad I gave it a chance" is another phrase that shows maturity and reflection. This is how your daily English starts becoming advanced, not by becoming harder, but by becoming more expressive, a major area where fluent speakers sound natural, is in the language of errands and responsibilities. Daily life includes appointments, schedules, delays, forgotten items, follow-ups, and short updates. Let's practice this with a very real situation. Abigail is calling her brother Logan from Charlotte. She says, "Hey, I'm on my way, but I had to make one quick stop before heading over." Logan replies, "No problem. I'm still getting things ready here." Abigail continues, "I shouldn't be too much longer. Traffic has been a little unpredictable today." Logan says, "That's fine. Just keep me posted." The phrase, "keep me posted," is a high-value daily phrase. It means, "keep me updated." Abigail then says, "Will do." Short, simple, fluent. Later, she texts, "I'm about 10 minutes out." That means she will arrive in about 10 minutes. These small phrases are everywhere in real English. On my way. One quick stop. Getting things ready. Keep me posted. I'm about 10 minutes out. If you master these, your daily speech becomes much more natural. Now, let's stretch that into a longer paragraph that you can practice, like a mini monologue. Hey, I'm on my way now, but I had to make one quick stop before heading over. I'm not too far, though, and I should be there soon. Traffic has been a little unpredictable, so I may arrive a few minutes later than I thought. But I'll keep you posted in case anything changes. Read that slowly, then read it again with more flow. This kind of paragraph teaches control, sequencing, and tone. You are giving an update, managing expectations, and sounding natural all at once. Another excellent daily skill is knowing how to respond. When someone tells you something unexpected, real conversations do not always follow a script. Someone may say, they quit a job, changed an apartment, got accepted into a program, or decided to move across the country. You need flexible reaction phrases that sound natural. Imagine Natalie tells her friend Carter in Sacramento, "I actually decided to leave my job last week." Carter replies, "Wow, really? I didn't see that coming." That phrase, "I didn't see that coming," is very common. Natalie says, "Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision, but it felt like the right time." Carter answers, "That makes sense. You've been talking about wanting a change for a while." Natalie says, "Exactly. I just got to the point where I knew I needed something different." Carter replies, "Well, good for you. I hope it opens the door to something better." Open the door to is a useful phrase, meaning create an opportunity for. This is supportive, natural English. You should also practice reacting in a more thoughtful way, not only with surprise words like, "Gee, wow." For example, if a friend says, "I'm thinking about moving to San Francisco," you could respond, "That's a big step? Have you been thinking about it for a while? Or did this come together recently?" That sounds much better than only saying, "Really?" Then if the person says, "It's something I've been considering for months," you could answer, "That makes sense. I can see why you'd want a fresh start." These are the response patterns that make your English feel alive. You are not only answering, you are participating. Let's move into the language of uncertainty, because daily life is full of half decisions, changing plans, and unclear feelings. Advanced speakers often use flexible phrases instead of hard statements. Imagine Brooklyn says to Jack in San Jose, "I'm not totally sure what I want to do this weekend yet." Jack, Hughes replies, "That's fair. We don't have to decide right now." Brooklyn says, "Part of me wants to stay in and recharge, but part of me feels like getting out of the house. Part of me wants to," is a very natural way to describe mixed feelings. Jack answers, "Why don't we play it by ear?" That phrase is incredibly useful. Play it by ear means decide later based on how things feel. Brooklyn says, "Yeah, that might be the way to go." The way to go means the best approach. This is how real people speak when they do not want to sound too rigid. Now, try a practice paragraph with that kind of flexible English. "I'm not totally sure what I feel like doing yet. Part of me wants to have a quiet evening and just recharge a little, but another part of me feels like going out and doing something fun. Maybe we can play it by ear and decide later, depending on how the day goes." That is excellent conversational English. It sounds natural, balanced, and emotionally realistic. This kind of language matters because fluency is not only about certainty, it is also about expressing uncertainty comfortably. One more very important part of daily conversation is the language of encouragement. If you want to connect with people well in English, you need phrases that support, reassure, and motivate. Imagine Audrey is nervous before a driving test in Orlando. Her friend Blake says, "You've Shay prepared for this. Just take a deep breath and trust yourself." Audrey says, "I know, I'm probably just overthinking it." Blake replies, "That's normal, but don't let your nerves get the best of you." Get the best of you means overpower you or affect you too strongly. Audrey says, "I'll try." Blake answers, "You've got this. Just stay focused and take it one step at a time." Take it one step at a time is a classic daily phrase. It is simple, supportive, and natural. These encouragement phrases appear in school, work, family life, friendships, and everyday challenges. Practice this style too. Imagine your friend in Houston is anxious before an interview. You say, "You've done the work, and you know more than you think. Try not to let the pressure get to you. Just take a deep breath, stay present, and take it one question at a time. I really think you're going to do well." That is strong, caring English. Notice that nothing in it is complicated, but it sounds very fluent because the phrasing is natural and emotionally appropriate. As you move forward in your English journey, I want you to remember something important. Daily life English is not small English. It is not weak English. It is not low-level English. It is real English. It is the language people use to handle plans, solve problems, support each other, explain delays, react to surprises, and stay connected. And when you start adding natural phrases like, "There may have been a mix-up," "I'm reaching out because," "Keep me posted," "I didn't see that coming," "Play it by ear," and "Take it one step at a time," your English starts to carry more personality, more precision, and more fluency. This is exactly how you build advanced English Through daily life conversations, you build it, sentence by sentence, response by response, and moment by moment. Let's continue by exploring one of the most important parts of daily conversation: asking for small favors, responding politely, and handling everyday requests without sounding too direct or too stiff. This area matters so much because daily life is full of little moments where we need something from someone else. Maybe we need a few more minutes. Maybe we need help carrying something. Maybe we need someone to repeat what they said. Or maybe we need someone to work around our schedule. The way you ask in those moments says a lot about your fluency. Imagine this scene in San Francisco. Emily is leaving an office building with two heavy bags, and she turns to her coworker Jason and says, "Hey, would you mind holding the door for me?" That is a perfect daily phrase. "Would you mind?" is one of the best structures for polite requests. Jason says, "Yeah, of course." Emily replies, "Thanks. Oh, I've got my hands full." "I've got my hands full" is such a useful expression. Sometimes it means you're literally carrying a lot, and sometimes it means you're very busy. Then Jason says, "No problem. That looked like a struggle." Emily laughs and says, "It kind of was." That exchange is light, natural, and realistic. You can hear how simple English becomes more advanced when the phrases sound real and socially natural. Now, listen to a slightly different version of a request. Ava is sitting in a coffee shop in Brooklyn, and the music is louder than she expected. She leans toward the person next to her and says, "Sorry to bother you. But did you catch what they just called out?" That line is so natural. "Sorry to bother you" softens the request, and "did you catch what they just called out" sounds far more fluent than "what did they say?" The person replies, "I think they said Olivia for the iced latte." Ava says, "Oh, that might be me. Thanks." Then the person answers, "No problem." In daily English, those tiny conversations happen all the time. What makes them useful is not only the vocabulary, it is the tone. The phrases help you sound considerate and relaxed. If you can speak like that, people will find your English easy to understand and pleasant to respond to. A great way to sound more advanced is to learn how to ask for help while showing awareness of the other person's time or effort. For example, instead of saying only, "Help me with this," you can say, "Chewy, could you give me a hand with this when you have a second?" That is excellent everyday English. "Give me a hand" means "help me." "When you have a second" does not literally mean 1 second. It means when you have a little time. Imagine Lauren is trying to lift a small table in her apartment in Denver, and she says to her roommate Tyler, "Could you give me a hand with this when you have a second?" Tyler replies, "Yeah, let me just finish this text." Lauren says, "Sure, no rush." Then Tyler comes over and says, "Where do you want it?" Lauren answers, "Right by the window should be fine." This kind of language is calm, practical, and full of fluency markers. "Should be fine" is another phrase you should notice. It sounds softer and more natural than "put it there." Now, let's practice this idea with a full paragraph you can repeat out loud. Imagine you are at home in Portland, and you need a friend to help you move a chair and a shelf. You could say, "Hey, when you get a minute, could you give me a hand with something? I'm trying to move this shelf over to the other side of the room, and I can't quite do it on my own. It shouldn't take long, but I could definitely use the help." That is strong daily English. It is polite, clear, and natural. If the other person replies, "Yeah, absolutely. Let me finish what I'm doing. And I'll be right there." That gives you another realistic model. You can learn so much just from these simple request and response patterns because they are used everywhere in real life. Another daily skill that makes a big difference in fluency is knowing how to ask someone to repeat or explain something without breaking the flow of the conversation. This is important because even advanced learners do not catch every word every time. Fluent communication is not about understanding everything perfectly. It is about knowing how to recover naturally when you miss something. Imagine Carter is on the phone with a customer service agent in Phoenix, and the agent speaks a little too fast. Carter says, "Sorry, could you go over that one more time?" That phrase, "You go over that one more time," is wonderful. It sounds calm and natural. He could also say, "Sorry, I didn't quite catch that last part." That is much better than saying, "What?" Another useful phrase is, "Could you slow down just a little?" That sounds polite and direct without sounding rude. If the agent repeats the information, Carter can say, "Got it. Thanks. That makes more sense." That makes more sense is a useful response because it shows you understand now. Let's make this even more practical. Imagine you are speaking to someone in Los Angeles, and they give you directions very quickly. A fluent response could sound like this: "Sorry, I'm with you up until the parking garage, but after that, I'm a little lost. Could you walk me through that part again?" That is excellent. "I'm with you up until" means I understand until that point. Then, "Could you walk me through that part again?" means explain it step by step. If the person explains again, you could respond, "Okay, now, I see what you mean." Or you could say, "All right, that clears it up." That clears it up means now it is clear. These are the small adjustments that help conversations stay comfortable even when you miss information. Let's move into the language of daily misunderstandings, because these are incredibly common and very useful for fluency. Sometimes you misunderstood a plan. Sometimes you thought someone meant one thing, but they meant something else. In those moments, natural English can help you correct the situation without stress. Imagine Megan and Owen are texting about meeting in downtown Nashville. Megan arrives at one cafe, but Owen is somewhere else. Megan texts, "Hey, I'm here, but I'm not seeing you." Owen replies, "Wait, which location did you go to?" Megan says, "The one on Fifth Avenue." Owen responds, "Oh, I think we got our wires crossed. I meant the one near the river." "We got our wires crossed" is a fantastic phrase. It means there was a misunderstanding. Megan says, "Ah, got it." That explains it. Owen replies, "Sorry about that. I should have been more specific." That line is natural and mature. Megan says, "No worries. I can head over there now." Notice how nobody sounds angry. Everybody is simply solving the problem through good communication. Now, so say this kind of English with your own voice. Imagine you went to the wrong movie theater in Tampa because of a misunderstanding. You call your friend and say, "Hey, I think we may have gotten our wires crossed. I came to the theater near downtown, but I'm starting to think you meant the one out by the mall." That would explain why I'm not seeing you anywhere. That paragraph sounds fluent because it explains the situation clearly and naturally. Then your friend might reply, "Yeah, that's on me. I should have clarified which one I meant." And you could answer, "It's all good. I can still make it." but I'll be a little later than planned. Another very important daily topic is the language of preferences when you are trying to be polite and flexible. Real conversations are often not about strong demands. They are about small preferences, suggestions, and willingness to adapt. Imagine Charlotte and Benjamin are deciding where to sit in a restaurant in Seattle. Charlotte says, "Do you want to sit inside, or would you rather be out on the patio?" Benjamin replies, "Either one works for me, but I'd lean toward sitting outside if it's not too chilly." "I'd lean toward" is a great advanced phrase. Charlotte says, "Yeah, I was thinking the same thing." Benjamin adds, "As long as it's not too windy, I'm good with that." There it is again. As long as is one of the most useful structures in daily English. Charlotte replies, "Let's give it a try. We can always move if we need to." Now, let's stretch that into a practice paragraph. Either option works for me. Honestly, but I'd probably lean towards somewhere quieter if possible. I don't mind a busy place, but if we're planning to talk for a while, I think it would be easier if we went somewhere a little less crowded. That said, I'm flexible, so whatever makes the most sense is fine with me. That is beautiful daily English. It is balanced, natural, and mature. Let's continue with another kind of real-life conversation. Stopping by someone's place, arriving, and easing into social interaction naturally. Imagine Hannah is visiting her friend Blake in Austin for the first time in a few months. She knocks on the door, and Blake opens it with a smile. Hannah says, "Hey, it's been a while." Blake replies, "I know, come on in." Hannah steps inside and says, "Thanks, I hope I'm not too early." Blake answers, "Not at all. You're right on time." Hannah then says, "Good. I wasn't sure how traffic was going to be." Blake replies, "You actually made great time." Then Hannah looks around and says, "This place looks really nice. You've done a lot with it." Blake answers, "Thanks. I'm still getting settled, but it's starting to feel like home." A strong fluency habit is learning how to transition from arrival to conversation smoothly. Imagine you arrive at a friend's apartment in Chicago. Instead of standing there silently, you could say, "Thanks for having me over. It's good to finally see this place in person. You were right, it does have a great view. And I'm glad I left when I did, because traffic started getting heavier the closer I got." Now, let's talk about giving compliments in a natural way, because compliments are a regular part of friendly daily conversation. Imagine Sophia meets her friend Mason in San Diego, and Mason is wearing a new jacket. Sophia says, "That jacket looks really good on you." Mason replies, "Thanks, I just got it last week." Sophia says, "It suits you." Mason answers, "I almost didn't buy it, but I'm glad I did." Sophia says, "Yeah, it was a good call." These kinds of compliments sound natural because they are simple and specific. Here is a practice paragraph. "This looks so good. You really did a great job with it. I like how everything feels open and comfortable without looking too crowded. It all comes together really nicely." Another area where daily English becomes advanced is in the language of mild discomfort or low energy. Imagine Ethan meets his friend Claire in Raleigh, and Claire says, "I'm a little out of it today." Ethan says, "Long day?" Claire replies, "Yeah, and I didn't sleep all that well last night either." Ethan says, "That'll do it." Claire adds, I'm hoping a coffee helps me snap out of it. Ethan replies, hopefully. If not, maybe an early night will help. Let's practice that style. I'm a little out of it today. To be honest, I didn't sleep very well, and I've been trying to stay focused, but my energy has been kind of off all afternoon. I'm hoping once I get some food and slow down for a minute, I'll start to feel more like myself. Let's also practice the language of soft disagreement. Imagine Lily and Connor are deciding whether to leave early for a concert in Minneapolis. Connor says, I feel like we should leave now, just to be safe. Lily replies, I see what you mean, but I think if we leave right this second, we'll just end up waiting around forever. Connor says, maybe, but traffic could get bad fast. Lily answers, that's true. How about we split the difference and leave in 15? Here is a practice paragraph. I get where you're coming from, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I just wonder if we might be overthinking it a little. Maybe there's a middle ground that makes sense for both of us. One more daily pattern is following through after a conversation. Imagine Audrey and Jake are wrapping up lunch in Charleston. Audrey says, this was nice. We should do this again sometime. Jake replies, definitely. Next time, lunch is on me. Audrey says, all right, I'm holding you to that. Jake laughs and says, fair enough, I'll text you later this week. Now, imagine your own version. It was really good catching up. I'm glad we made this happen. Let's not wait so long next time. Send me a message when your schedule clears up, and we'll figure something out. As your English grows, keep paying attention to this idea. Advanced English often lives inside ordinary moments. It is there when you say, would you mind holding the door? It is there when you say, I didn't quite catch that. It is there when you say, I think we got our wires crossed. Or, I'd lean towards sitting outside. Or, I'm a little out of it today. Or, maybe we can split the difference. These are real daily tools, and the more you practice them, the more natural your English will sound, and the more confident you will become. Let's keep moving deeper into the kind of daily English that helps you sound calm, capable, and naturally fluent in everyday situations. The English people use when they need to coordinate plans, explain themselves clearly, how respond to changing situations, and stay socially comfortable at the same time. One thing that happens constantly in real life is that people make plans that are only half-formed at first. They are not always certain about the exact time, the exact place, or the exact order of events. So they use flexible English. That sounds open and natural. Imagine this scene in Seattle. Rachel texts her friend Tyler and says, I'm still figuring out my schedule for later, but I should be free sometime after 6. That sentence is useful because it gives information without sounding too fixed. Tyler replies, that works. Just let me know. Once you have a better sense of your timing. Once you have a better sense of your timing is an excellent phrase. It sounds thoughtful and natural. As Rachel says, will do. I'm just waiting to hear back from one person first. Tyler answers, no rush. We can keep it loose for now. Keep it loose is a great daily expression. It means stay flexible and not overplan. Already, in this short exchange, you can hear how fluent speakers leave room for life to move naturally. Now, imagine you are in a similar situation in Denver. and someone asks if you are available in the evening, but you are not fully sure yet. A strong response could sound like this: I think I should be free later, but I'm still trying to nail down a couple of things first. I don't want to commit too early and then have to back out. So let me check on one thing, and I'll get back to you. That paragraph is filled with useful daily English. Nail down means confirm exactly. I don't want to commit too early is very natural. Back out means cancel something you agreed to. And I'll get back to you is one of the most valuable daily expressions in English. It means I will contact you later with an answer. These are the kinds of phrases that make your English sound more advanced because they show social awareness and natural timing. Another huge part of daily life English is handling the small follow-up messages that keep relationships smooth. People often check whether plans are still on, whether someone is still coming, or whether a detail has changed. Imagine Abigail texts Mason in Boston and says, Hey, just checking that we're still good for tonight. That phrase, we're still good for tonight, is very common. Mason replies, Yeah, definitely. Nothing's changed on my end. Nothing's changed on my end is a very natural way to confirm your situation. Abigail says, Perfect. I just wanted to make sure before I headed out. Mason answers, Glad you checked. I should be there a little early, actually. That exchange is realistic because people do this all the time. They confirm, update, and make sure everybody is on the same page. And that phrase, on the same page, is another excellent daily expression. It means having the same understanding. Let's turn that into a speaking exercise. Imagine you are meeting a friend in Nashville, but before leaving your apartment, you want to confirm the plan. In a natural way, you could say, Hey, just wanted to make sure. We're still on for later. I'm about to head out soon, so I figured I'd check before I left. If anything shifted on your end, no worries, just let me know. That is very fluent daily English. It is practical, warm, and considerate. Notice the phrase, if anything shifted on your end. That sounds more natural than, if something changed. These are the details that help your speech sound more alive. A very useful area of daily conversation is the language of small apologies when something minor goes wrong. Fluent speakers apologize in ways that match the size of the problem. They do not always use dramatic language. Sometimes, they simply smooth the moment over with a natural phrase. Imagine Chloe arrives a little late to meet her friend Ethan in Austin. She says, Sorry, that took longer than I expected. Ethan replies, You're fine. I just got here myself. Chloe says, Okay, good. I was worried I'd kept you waiting. Ethan answers, Not at all. That is all simple, but very natural. Now, imagine a slightly different situation in Chicago. James forgot to bring something he promised. He says, that's my fault. It completely slipped my mind. It slipped my mind is a fantastic phrase. It means, I forgot. The other person, Lauren, replies, No worries. We could deal with it later. James says, I'll bring it next time, for sure. This is exactly how people handle little mistakes in daily English, directly, but lightly. Now, practice your own version. Sorry, I meant to send that earlier, but it completely slipped my mind. So the afternoon got away from me, and by the time I remembered, it was already later than I realized. That paragraph sounds very natural. The afternoon got away from me is another useful phrase. It means time passed faster than expected, often because you were busy. This type of English is perfect for texts, calls, or in-person conversation. It makes you sound fluent because it matches how people really explain small delays and forgetfulness. Let's explore another area that matters a lot in daily life: setting gentle boundaries. This is important because fluent communication is not only about saying yes, it is also about saying no, or not now, in a respectful and natural way. Imagine Madison is invited to something in Los Angeles, but she feels tired and needs a quiet evening. Her friend Noah says, "A few of us are heading out later, if you want to come." Madison replies, "That sounds fun, but I think I'm going to sit this one out." Sit this one out is a very natural phrase. It means choose not to join, this time. Noah says, "No problem, maybe next time." Madison answers, "Yeah, I've just had a long week, and I'm trying not to run myself into the ground." Run myself into the ground means exhaust myself completely. Noah replies, "That makes total sense. Get some rest." This is daily English with emotional maturity. Madison is honest, but she is also warm and socially smooth. Here is a practice paragraph in that style. "Thanks for thinking of me. I'd love to see everyone, but I think I'm going to sit this one out tonight. So it's been a long week, and I'm feeling a little drained, so I'm trying to listen to my body and take it easy when I can." That sounds very natural. Notice, I'm feeling a little drained. Listen to my body and take it easy. These phrases are very common in modern daily English. They allow you to express a boundary without sounding cold. Fluency includes this skill too, knowing how to protect your time and energy with natural language. Another valuable part of real daily English is knowing how to react when someone shares good news. If all you ever say is good or nice, your English may sound flat, even if your grammar is correct. Fluent speakers have a range of positive reactions that sound more engaged. Imagine Emma's friend Caleb in Portland says, "I finally found an apartment." Emma replies, "No way, that's awesome." Caleb says, "Yeah, I signed the paperwork this morning." Emma answers, "That's such a relief, I'm sure." Caleb says, "It really is. I'd been stressing about it for weeks." Emma responds, "I can imagine. I'm so glad it worked out." "I'm so glad it worked out" is a great phrase. It shows warmth and support. Or imagine Ava says, "I got the job." Her friend Blake replies, "That's incredible. I knew you had a strong shot." "You had a strong shot" means you had a good chance. These reactions help daily conversations feel fuller and more human. Now, practice a response paragraph like this. "That's amazing news. I know how much time and energy you put into that, so it must feel good to finally see it pay off. Honestly, I'm really happy for you." That is excellent real-life English. See it pay off means receive positive results from your effort. You can use that phrase in work, study, health, projects, and many other contexts. Again, advanced English is hiding inside ordinary moments. That is how daily conversation turns into real fluency, little by little, phrase by phrase, and one natural interaction at a time. Now, let's move into another deeply useful part of daily English, the kind of language people use when they are moving through normal responsibilities, talking about what needs to get done, explaining what happened during the day, and staying connected with others while life keeps moving. This is where a lot of learners start sounding more fluent because daily conversation is not always dramatic. Very often, it is about simple updates, small reactions, practical decisions, and natural follow up. Imagine this scene in Chicago. Emma meets her friend Chloe after work, and Chloe says, "I feel like today just flew by." That phrase, "the day just flew by," is very common. It means time passed very quickly. Emma replies, "Same here. I had so much to do that I barely looked at the clock." "I barely looked at the clock" gives a very natural picture. Chloe says, "I thought I'd get everything done by lunch, but one thing led to another." That phrase, "one thing led to another," is extremely useful. It means events kept connecting and creating more activity. Emma then says, "That's how it goes sometimes." That is another smooth, common phrase. It shows understanding without sounding stiff or formal. If you want your English to sound more advanced, learn how to describe a busy day in a way that feels natural instead of mechanical. Many learners say things like, "I was busy today," and that is correct, but fluent speakers often add color and rhythm. For example, you could say, "It was one of those days where I kept checking things off my list, but the list somehow never got shorter." That is a very natural, expressive line. Or you could say, "I was busy from start to finish, and time I thought I was catching up, something else came up." Catching up and something else came up are daily life expressions that appear again and again in real English. Imagine Olivia says to Ryan in Boston, "I finally sat down for a second around 3, and that was the first time all day I felt like I could breathe." Ryan replies, "Wow, that sounds intense." Olivia says, "Yeah, but at least I got through it." "I got through it" is simple, but very natural. These short expressions help your English sound grounded and real. Let's turn that into a practice paragraph that you can imagine saying after a long day. "Today felt a lot busier than I expected. I kept thinking I was almost caught up, but every time I finished one thing, something else came up. By the time I finally had a second to slow down, half the day was already gone. Still, I got through everything that mattered, so I can't complain too much." This is excellent conversational English. Notice how natural that sounds. You are not using difficult words, but you're expressing time, pressure, effort, and perspective in a way that sounds fluent and human. That is a huge part of advanced daily English. Another very important area of daily conversation is talking about things around the home in a natural way. Real life includes cleaning up, fixing things, putting things off, getting organized, and dealing with small tasks that never seem to disappear. Imagine Ava is talking to her brother Ethan in Seattle, and she says, "I told myself I'd tidy up the apartment today, but I haven't gotten around to it yet." "I haven't gotten around to it yet" is one of the most useful daily expressions you can learn. It means, "Why, you intended to do something, but you have not done it yet." Ethan replies, "I know the feeling. I've been meaning to do laundry for 2 days." "I've been meaning to" is another great phrase. Ava then says, "I started with the kitchen, And then I got distracted halfway through. Ethan laughs and says, "That happens to me every time." This is everyday English that sounds highly natural because it reflects how people honestly talk about unfinished tasks. Now, imagine you are explaining your own situation in San Diego. You could say, "I've been meaning to clean up my place, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Every time I think I'm finally going to take care of it, I end up getting distracted by something else. At this point, I'm just hoping I can make some progress before the weekend is over." That paragraph sounds strong and real. Make some progress is a very common phrase. It sounds more natural than saying only do it. You are giving your thoughts shape. You are speaking like a real person dealing with a normal day. That is exactly what builds fluency. Let's continue with the language of food, meals, and quick daily decisions. Because people talk about these things constantly. Imagine Madison and Tyler are walking through downtown Austin, deciding whether to stop somewhere to and eat. Madison says, "I'm getting kind of hungry, but I don't want anything too heavy." Tyler replies, "Yeah, same. I could go for something quick, though." "I could go for" is a fantastic everyday phrase. It means I would like. Madison says, "There's a sandwich place a few blocks from here, unless you're in the mood for something else." Tyler answers, "No, that actually sounds perfect." Then Madison says, "Good, because I'm at the point where I need food before I get grumpy." "I'm at the point where" is another very useful structure. Tyler laughs and says, "Fair enough, let's not push it." This exchange is full of daily phrases that native speakers use naturally all the time. Practice this kind of English out loud. "I'm starting to get hungry, but I'm not really in the mood for a huge meal. I could go for something simple, maybe a sandwich or a salad, just enough to hold me over for a while. If we find a place nearby, that would probably be ideal." That is clear, natural, and fluent. "Hold me over" is another wonderful phrase. It means keep me satisfied until later. This kind of language is useful in restaurants, while making plans, when texting a friend, or even when talking to coworkers. Daily life. English becomes powerful when it can move easily through these small and normal moments. Another area that makes a huge difference in fluency is knowing how to react naturally when something is inconvenient, but not a disaster. Real life is full of mild inconvenience. A line is longer than expected. The bus is delayed. A store is out of what you wanted. A call takes longer than planned. Fluent speakers have many ways to respond without sounding too negative. Imagine Noah is at a grocery store in Denver looking for a certain item, but the shelf is empty. He says, "Looks like they're out again." His friend Sophie replies, "Yeah, I've noticed that too. It seems like every time I come here, they never have it." Noah says, "I guess I'll have to make do with something else." Make do with is a highly useful phrase. It means manage with a less ideal option. Sophie says, "That's probably your best bet." Then Noah shrugs and says, "It's not the end of the world." That phrase is very common when something is annoying, but not serious. If you use language like this, you start sounding much more comfortable in English. Try your own practice paragraph with that tone. "They didn't have exactly what I was looking for, so I just had to make do with something similar. It wasn't ideal, but it wasn't the end of the world." Either Sometimes you just work with what's available and move on. That sounds calm and mature. It shows you know how to keep perspective. And that is something fluent speakers do very well. English fluency is not only about vocabulary, it is also about attitude and tone. Let's go deeper into the language of invitations and low-pressure social plans, because this is another huge part of daily life. Imagine Lauren texts Caleb in Portland and says, "A few of us might grab coffee later, if you feel like joining." Notice that? She does not say, "Come with us." She says, "If you feel like joining." That sounds softer and friendlier. Caleb replies, "That actually sounds nice." "What time are you thinking?" Lauren says. "Nothing set in stone yet. Probably sometime around 5:30. "Nothing set in stone yet" is a fantastic phrase. It means, not completely decided." Caleb replies, "Okay, keep me in the loop." Keep me in the loop means continue giving me updates so I stay informed. Lauren says, "Will do." This is classic daily English, flexible, casual, friendly, and very natural. Now, imagine you are the one making a light invitation in Atlanta. You could say, "A couple of us are thinking about getting coffee later. If you feel like coming along, nothing's set in stone yet, but we'll probably head out sometime after work. No pressure either way. But you'd be more than welcome." That is excellent daily English. Come along. No pressure either way. And you'd be more than welcome. All sound natural and socially smooth. This is the kind of English that helps you sound confident without sounding forceful. Another essential daily skill is knowing how to talk about your energy, focus, and mood in a natural way, especially when you are not feeling completely sharp. Imagine Grace sits down with her friend Mason in Philadelphia, and Mason says, "You seem a little off today. Everything okay?" Grace replies, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just having a hard time focusing." "Having a hard time focusing is a great everyday phrase," Mason says. "One of those days?" Grace nods and says, "Exactly. My brain just feels scattered." "My brain feels scattered" is very natural, Mason replies. "Maybe you just need to reset for a minute." Reset here means pause and recover mentally. Grace says, "Yeah, I think that's part of it. I've been jumping from one thing to the next all day." That phrase, jumping from one thing to the next, is a very real way to talk about a day that feels fragmented or chaotic. Here is a practice paragraph you can use in real life. "I'm okay. I just feel a little scattered today. I've been jumping from one thing to the next, and I haven't really had a chance to slow down and collect my thoughts. I think once I take a break and reset a little, I'll probably feel better." That sounds so much more natural than simply saying, "I am tired." You are describing your state in a richer, more fluent way. This is how daily English grows into advanced English, through small upgrades in phrase choice. Let's also work on the language of running late in a slightly more detailed and natural way. Many learners know how to say, "I will be late," but fluent speakers often explain the situation briefly and smoothly. Imagine Carter texts Olivia in Miami and says, "Hey, I'm running a little behind. I got held up at the office longer than I expected." "Got held up" is a great phrase. It means delayed. Olivia replies, "No worries, I'm still on my way too." Carter says, "Okay, good. I didn't want to leave you hanging." Leave you hanging means leave someone without information or support. Olivia answers, "You're fine. I appreciate the update." That exchange is short, but every phrase in it is useful. These are exactly the expressions that make daily communication feel natural and complete. Try this style in a longer paragraph. "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm running a little behind. I got held up longer than I expected. And now, so everything is moving a bit slower than I planned. I didn't want to leave you hanging, so I figured I'd send a quick update before I head out." That is fluent daily English. It sounds considerate and organized. You are not only giving information, you are showing awareness of the other person. That is a major sign of fluency. Another common daily situation is talking about chores, shared responsibilities, and little decisions at home. Imagine Hannah and Logan are roommates in Minneapolis. Hannah says, "Did you take the trash out, or did it not happen yet?" Logan replies, "Not yet. I was about to do it before I sat down." Hannah says, "Okay, no rush. I just wanted to check because it's getting pretty full." Logan answers, "Yeah, I noticed. I'll take care of it in a minute." "I'll take care of it" is an extremely useful daily phrase. It means I will handle it. Hannah replies, "Thanks, I appreciate it." This kind of English matters because so much of daily conversation is about practical cooperation. It is not dramatic, but it is real and frequent. Here is a practice paragraph in that style. "I was going to take care of that earlier, but it slipped my mind. I'll handle it in a little while, though, so you don't need to worry about it. I've just been bouncing between a few different things today." Bouncing between a few different things is another highly natural phrase. It describes shifting attention from task to task. That is how many people talk about busy, unfinished days. Let's move into the language of support and reassurance when someone feels uncertain about a decision. Imagine Blake tells Emma in Nashville, "I keep second-guessing whether I made the right call." Emma replies, "That's normal. It's easy to second-guess yourself when you care about the outcome." "Second-guess yourself" is an excellent phrase. Blake says, "Yeah, I just wish I knew how it was all going to play out." Emma responds, "I know, but you made the best decision you could with the information you had at the time." That line is powerful and deeply natural. It sounds supportive, thoughtful, and mature. Blake nods and says, "That's true. I guess I need to stop replaying it in my head." Replay it in my head means think about it repeatedly. Emma answers, "Exactly. At some point, you just have to let it be." Let it be is simple, but very effective daily English. Now, she practice a paragraph like that. It's understandable to second-guess yourself, especially when the decision mattered to you. But that doesn't automatically mean you made the wrong call. Sometimes you just have to trust that you did the best you could in the moment, and let the rest unfold from there. This is advanced daily English because it blends natural tone with emotional insight. This is how people really comfort one another in everyday conversation. Another powerful area of daily speech is talking about trying to stay consistent with something. Exercise, reading, language learning, organization, or healthier habits. Imagine Chloe says to Ethan in San Francisco, "I'm trying to be better about sticking to a routine." Sticking to a routine is a very strong daily phrase. Ethan replies, "Yeah, I know what you mean. That's always I'm easier said than done. Easier said than done is one of the most useful expressions in English. Chloe says, exactly. I start out strong, and then life gets busy, and I fall out of the habit. Fall out of the habit is another excellent phrase. Ethan responds, I think the trick is keeping it realistic. The trick is means the key or effective method is. Chloe says, that's probably true. I tend to overdo it at the beginning. Overdo it means do too much. This conversation is gold for learners because it sounds so normal and so natural. Here is your practice paragraph. I'm trying to be more consistent, but I know that's easier said than done. I usually start with a lot of motivation, and then, once life gets busy, I fall out of the habit. I think I need to keep it more realistic if I want it to last. That is exactly the kind of is English people use when talking honestly about routines and goals. It is practical, expressive, and full of natural rhythm. As you listen to all these situations, I want you to notice something important. Daily English conversations are not random. They follow emotional patterns. People explain what happened. They soften requests. They update each other. They react to inconvenience. They invite without pressure. They express tiredness, uncertainty, hunger, delay, responsibility, and support. And inside all of those daily moments, advanced English phrases appear naturally. Phrases like, one thing led to another. I haven't gotten around to it yet. I could go for something quick. I'll have to make do. Nothing's set in stone. Keep me in the loop. I feel a little scattered. I got held up. I'll take care of it. Stop replaying. Yeah, it in my head. And that's easier said than done. These are not complicated phrases, but they are powerful because they help you speak like a real person living a real day. The more you practice them in full paragraphs, the more natural your English will become, and the more easily you will understand daily conversations when you hear them around you. Let's keep building your fluency by stepping into another important layer of daily English, the language people use when they are out in the world, moving from place to place, making quick decisions, adjusting to small changes, and staying relaxed while everyday life unfolds. A lot of English learners spend too much time studying isolated sentences and not enough time studying the flow of real situations. But in daily life, one sentence usually leads to another. A small update turns hard into a plan. A simple question turns into an explanation. A short reply turns into a friendly exchange. That is why we are practicing English this way, not as separate lines, but as connected, living conversation. Imagine this scene in New York City. Claire is trying to meet her friend Jason near a subway station, but the area is more crowded than she expected. She calls him and says, Hey, I just got out of the station, but it's a little chaotic over here. I'm trying to figure out where exactly you are. That phrase, it's a little chaotic over here, is very natural. Jason replies, Yeah, it's usually busy around this time. I'm standing near the corner across from the pharmacy. Claire says, Okay, I think I know where that is. Give me a second to get my bearings. Get my bearings is an excellent daily phrase. It means understand where you are and how things are arranged around you. Jason answers, Take your time. I'm not going anywhere. Claire says, All right. I see the pharmacy now. I'm heading that way. This is strong daily English. Night because it is calm, descriptive, and realistic. Now, practice a paragraph in that same style. Hey, I'm here, but I'm still trying to get my bearings. There are a lot more people around than I expected, so it took me a second to figure out where I came out. I think I see the building you mentioned, though, so I'm heading in that direction now. That sounds fluent, because the English follows the situation naturally. You are not only saying where you are explaining your experience in real time. That is exactly how daily conversations work. Another common daily situation is talking through transportation delays, route changes, or small travel decisions. Say, imagine Tyler is driving across Dallas when his friend Natalie texts to ask how far away he is. Tyler replies, I'm making my way over now, but I had to take a different route because traffic was backed up on the freeway. Making my way over is a very natural phrase. Traffic was backed up is extremely common. Natalie says, Got it. Is it adding a lot of time? Tyler answers, A little, but hopefully not too much. I'm moving again now, so I think I'm back on track. Back on track usually means returning to the expected course or progress. Natalie replies, Okay, sounds good. Just drive safe, Tyler says. Will do. That exchange feels simple, but it is packed with useful daily expressions that appear all the time in real life. Here is a longer practice paragraph. I'm on my way, but I had to change my route because traffic was more backed up than I thought it would be. I lost a little time getting around it, but I'm moving again now, so I think I'm back on track. I'll keep you posted if anything changes, but hopefully I should still be there pretty soon. That paragraph is excellent for fluency because it combines movement, explanation, and a social update in a very natural way. If you practice speaking like this, you will become much more comfortable in practical conversations. Let's move into another highly useful area of daily English: deciding what to do when plans are possible, but energy, weather, timing, or convenience all need to be considered. Real life is full of this kind of flexible thinking. Imagine Sophia and Caleb are texting in Boston on a Saturday afternoon. Sophia says, I kind of want to get out of the apartment for a while, but I'm not sure what I feel like doing. Caleb replies, Yeah, I know that feeling. Do you want to keep it simple and just take a walk somewhere? Sophia says, Maybe. I'd be up for that, as long as it doesn't start raining. Caleb answers, Fair enough. The weather looks okay for now, but we could always play it by ear. There is that phrase again. Play it by ear, Sophia replies. That might be the easiest thing. I just don't want to make some big plan and then lose steam halfway through. Lose steam is a fantastic daily phrase. It means lose energy, motivation, or momentum. Caleb says, Then let's keep it low-key. Low-key is another very common expression. It means relaxed, simple, not intense. Now, try a paragraph like this out loud. I'd be up for doing something, but I'm kind of leaning toward keeping it low-key. I don't really have the energy for anything complicated, and I don't want to make a big plan only to lose steam later. Maybe we can do something simple and just play it by ear, depending on how the afternoon goes. This is excellent daily English. It sounds thoughtful, natural, and very realistic. These are exactly the kinds of conversations people have with friends all the time. When another area that can make your English sound much more advanced is knowing how to describe things that feel slightly inconvenient, slightly disappointing, or slightly frustrating without sounding overly dramatic. Fluent speakers are often good at keeping the tone balanced. Imagine Logan walks into a store in Phoenix with his friend Ava, and they realize the place is much more crowded than usual. Logan says, "Wow, this place is packed." Ava replies, "Seriously, I didn't think it would be this busy." Logan says, "Me neither. I was hoping we could get in and out pretty quickly." Get in and out means finish something quickly and leave. Son Ava answers, "Yeah, that may not happen." Logan says, "Well, we've already come this far, so we might as well stick with it." Might as well is one of the most valuable daily expressions in English. It means this is probably the best thing to do now. Ava replies, "True. Let's just hope the line starts moving." This is classic daily English, mild frustration, practical thinking, and natural adjustment. Practice that pattern in a paragraph. I was hoping this would be a quick stop, but it looks like that's probably not going to happen. It's more crowded than I expected, and the line doesn't seem to be moving very fast. Still, I'm already here, so I might as well stick with it and get it done. That sounds very natural. So notice how smooth it feels. You are not using complicated grammar. You are using familiar ideas in a fluent, realistic way. Let's continue with the language of checking on progress, because daily conversations often involve asking whether something has been done, how far along someone is, or whether things are moving forward. Imagine Lauren is waiting for her friend Ethan in a bookstore in Portland. She texts, "Hey, how's it going over there?" "Are you almost done?" Ethan replies, "Almost. I'm just wrapping up one last thing." There is that useful phrase again. "Wrapping up." Lauren says, "Okay, no rush. I was just checking, so I knew whether I should keep browsing or head to the front." Ethan answers, "Yeah, give me like 5 more minutes." Lauren says, "Sounds good." This exchange is useful because it shows how native speakers check progress without sounding impatient. Lauren is not pushing. She is simply trying to coordinate her next step. Now, imagine your own version in Chicago. "Hey, just checking in to see where you're at. I'm not in a hurry. I just wanted to get a sense of your timing, so I know whether I should wait here or start heading over." That is fluent daily English. "Get a sense of your timing" is a particularly natural phrase. Now it sounds much smoother than, "Tell me when you will come." These subtle differences are what make a learner sound more advanced. And when you speak that way, your English becomes more than correct. It becomes natural, flexible, and deeply fluent. Let's keep going by stepping into another very real part of daily English, the language people use when they are managing expectations, talking through small decisions, and reacting to how the day is actually unfolding, instead of how they thought it would unfold. This matters because so much of real conversation is not about perfect plans. It is about adjusting. It is about noticing. It is about saying, in a natural and fluent way, what is working, what is not working, and what makes the most sense now. So imagine this scene in Seattle. Emily and Jacob plan to spend the afternoon visiting a few places around the city, but after the first stop, they realize they have less energy and less time, than they expected. Emily says, I don't know if we're going to get through everything on our list today. Jacob replies, Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. We may have been a little too ambitious. A little too ambitious is such a natural phrase. Emily says, Probably. I feel like we underestimated how long each stop would take. Jacob answers, That's okay. We can always save the rest for another day. That response is excellent because it is calm and realistic. Daily fluency often comes from knowing how to lower pressure in a conversation. Emily then says, Honestly, that might be the better move. The better move is another strong everyday phrase. It means the smarter decision right now. Now, imagine you are in a similar situation in Chicago and want to explain naturally that you cannot do everything you planned. You could say, I think we may have tried to squeeze too much into one afternoon. I'm not saying we can't still do some of it, but I don't know if it makes sense to rush through everything, just for the sake of checking it off the list. We could always call it here and pick it up another time. That is strong daily English. Squeeze too much into one afternoon, for the sake of call it here and pick it up another time. All sound natural and mature. This is how people actually speak when they need to shift a plan without sounding negative. See, another essential part of daily conversation is talking about mental energy and attention. When you want to be honest, without sounding dramatic. Imagine Claire meets her friend Noah in Boston after a long week, and Noah says, You seem kind of quiet today. Claire replies, Yeah, I think my brain is just a little fried. My brain is a little fried is a very common phrase. It means mentally tired. Noah says, One of those weeks? Claire nods and says, Pretty much. Nothing terrible, just a lot of little things adding up. That phrase, a lot of little things adding up, is very natural. Noah replies, That can wear you down fast. Claire says, Exactly, I'm fine. I just don't have much left in the tank today. Not much left in the tank is an excellent expression. It means not much energy remaining. So these are the kinds of phrases that make your English sound deeply natural because they reflect how people really describe their mental state. Practice this kind of paragraph out loud. I'm okay. I just don't have much left in the tank today. It's been one of those days where nothing was terrible on its own, but a lot of little things kept piling up, and by the end of it, I felt more drained than I expected. That sounds real. It sounds human. It sounds fluent. Notice how you are not using difficult grammar. You are using well-chosen phrases that paint a clear emotional picture. This is what advanced daily English often looks like. Let's move into another very useful area, talking about timing, when you want to avoid sounding too exact or too rigid. Real English speakers often give approximate time in soft, natural ways. Imagine Olivia texts Ryan in San Diego and says, I should be ready in a bit. Ryan replies, Okay, just give me a heads up when you're about to leave. Olivia says, Will do. I just need a few more minutes to finish getting ready. A few more minutes is simple, but in daily English, it is often better than an exact number when the situation is still flexible. Ryan answers, No problem, I'm just hanging around anyway. I'm just hanging around means I am staying here without doing anything urgent. Later, Olivia writes, All right, I'm just about to head out. Just about to is another extremely common phrase. Then Ryan replies, Perfect! I'll start heading that way too. This is how daily life timing sounds in natural conversation: flexible, approximate, and socially smooth. Now, say let's expand that into a useful practice paragraph. I'm not quite ready yet, but I'm getting there. I just need a few more minutes to wrap a couple of things up, and then I should be good to go. I'll send you a quick heads up when I'm just about to head out. That is excellent spoken English. Good to go is especially useful. It means ready. These little timing phrases appear constantly in daily conversations, and the more you use them, the more natural your speech will feel. Another powerful area of daily English is the language of noticing patterns in life and commenting on them casually. Fluent speakers often make observations that sound simple but natural. Just imagine Ethan and Madison are walking through downtown Denver, and Madison says, I swear, every time I come here, it's busier than the last time. Every time I come here, and busier than the last time, are great everyday structures. Ethan replies, Yeah, this area has changed a lot. Madison says, It really has. There are so many more places now than there used to be. Ethan answers, I know, it feels like something new opens up every few weeks. Opens up here means begins operating. Madison then says, Part of me likes that, but part of me misses when it felt a little less crowded. That is very natural. She is expressing a mixed reaction in a balanced way. Ethan replies, Yeah, I get that. It's nice to have more options, but it definitely changes the feel of the place. This is exactly how daily English often sounds when people reflect on familiar neighborhoods, routines, and environments. Try your own version in paragraph form. I've noticed this area has changed a lot lately. On the one hand, it's nice because there are more places to go and more things happening, but at the same time, it doesn't feel quite as quiet as it used to. I guess that's just part of how places evolve. That is thoughtful, natural English. On the one hand, at the same time, gives your speech balance, and part of how places evolve sounds mature, without sounding too formal. As you continue building your English through these everyday conversation patterns, notice how often fluency depends on flexibility. It depends on knowing how to soften a plan, explain a delay, adjust an expectation, summarize a day, change direction, accept a small win, or revisit an idea later. That is why phrases like, We may have been a little too ambitious. I don't have much left in the tank. I should be good to go in a bit. Part of how places evolve. Leave empty-handed. Get a few things off my plate. Trying not to overpromise. Switch gears. I'll take it. My week's still taking shape, and I'm all set now, are so valuable. They help you sound like someone living in English, not just studying English. And when you can do that, your understanding gets deeper, your speaking gets smoother, and daily conversations start to feel much more natural. So let's keep going by focusing on another side of daily life English that makes a huge difference in real conversations: the language people use when they are trying to make life easier, smoother, and a little more manageable. A lot of fluent daily English is not dramatic at all. It is the language of practical thinking. It is the language of saying what still needs to happen, what can wait, what is worth doing now, and what should probably be left for later. Imagine this scene in Portland. Emma is talking with her friend Tyler after a long afternoon, and she says, "At this point, I'm just trying to get through the rest of the day without overcomplicating anything." That sentence sounds very natural. And Tyler replies, "Honestly, that's probably the right approach." Emma says, "I've learned that if I try to do too much, when I'm already tired, I end up making everything harder than it needs to be." Harder than it needs to be is an excellent daily phrase. Tyler answers, "Yeah, sometimes the smartest thing is to keep it simple." Emma says, "Exactly. I'm trying to save my energy instead of burning through it on things that can wait." Burning through it means using it up quickly. This is deeply useful daily English because people say things like this all the time when they are managing their time, effort, and attention. Now, imagine you are explaining something similar in Chicago after a busy day. So you could say, "I still have a couple of things I could do tonight, but honestly, I'm trying to be realistic about what's actually worth tackling right now. I'd rather take care of the essentials and leave the rest for tomorrow than push myself too far and end up feeling even more worn out." That paragraph sounds fluent because it reflects how people actually make decisions in ordinary life. Tackling right now, take care of the essentials, and feeling more worn out are all excellent phrases for daily conversation. This is exactly how advanced English grows inside daily English, through useful, flexible choices in very normal moments. Another important area of daily conversation is the language of errands that turn into conversations about time, convenience, and effort. Imagine Olivia is texting her brother Ryan in Seattle and says, "I need to go back out for one thing, but I'm debating whether it's worth it tonight." Ryan replies, "How badly do you need it?" Olivia says, "Not badly enough to make a whole extra trip, if I'm being honest." "If I'm being honest" is a great phrase because it softens honesty in a natural way. Ryan answers, "Then maybe leave it for tomorrow." Olivia says, "Yeah, that's kind of where I'm landing." "That's kind of where I'm landing" is a very natural phrase. It means, "That is the conclusion I'm reaching." Ryan says, "No point making your evening harder for one small thing." Olivia replies, "Exactly. I think I just needed to hear someone else say it." That is such a realistic exchange. People often already know what makes sense, but hearing it out loud helps them feel settled. Try your own practice paragraph. "I keep going back and forth on whether I should go out again and take care of one more thing, but the more I think about it, the less necessary it seems. It's not urgent, and I'd rather not make an extra trip if I don't really have to. I think it probably makes more sense to leave it for tomorrow and call it a night." That sounds smooth and natural. Going back and forth, make an extra trip, and call it a night are all excellent phrases that come up again and again in real English. Let's continue with the language of returns, exchanges, and small problems with purchases, because these situations happen constantly in daily life. Imagine Lauren walks into a store in Austin with a sweater she bought the week before. She says to the employee, "Hi, I was hoping to exchange this. If possible, I like it, but the size just doesn't work for me." That is very natural. The employee replies, "Sure. Do you have the receipt with you?" Lauren says, "Yeah, I have it right here." Then the employee asks, "Were you looking for the same style in a different size?" Lauren answers, If you have it, yes. Otherwise, I may just take a look around. This is all highly practical daily English. Notice that Lauren does not say, "This is bad." She says, "The size just doesn't work for me." That sounds smoother and more natural. Later, if the employee says, "It looks like we're out of that size," Lauren might answer, "Okay, no problem." In that case, I may just go with something else. Go with something else is another excellent daily phrase. Here is a useful practice paragraph. Hi, I was hoping to exchange this, if that's still possible. I really like it overall, but once I tried it on again at home, I realized the fit just wasn't quite right. If you happen to have the same one in a different size, I'd love to take a look, but if not, I'm open to other options. That is strong, realistic English. The fit just wasn't quite right. And I'm open to other options are both very natural. These are exactly the phrases that help you navigate daily life in English without sounding stiff or overly direct. Another part of daily English that matters a lot is the language of weather and how it affects ordinary plans. Fluent speakers talk about weather constantly, not in a textbook way, but in a practical way that connects to daily decisions. Imagine Mason and Chloe are texting in Denver. Mason says, "I was thinking of heading out for a bit, but now I'm not so sure." Chloe replies, "Because of the weather?" Mason says, "Yeah, it looked fine earlier, but now it seems like it could turn any minute." Turn any minute means change quickly, especially weather. Chloe says, "I know what you mean. It's one of those days where it can't seem to make up its mind." That is such a natural phrase. Mason replies, "Exactly. I don't really want to get caught out in it." Get caught out in it is excellent daily English. Chloe says, "Fair enough. Maybe wait it out and see what happens." Wait it out means wait until the situation changes. This kind of conversation happens all the time, and the phrases in it are very useful. Practice that style in a paragraph. I was thinking about going out for a while, but now I'm second-guessing it because the weather seems like it could change at any moment. It looked clear not that long ago, but now it feels a lot less predictable, and I don't really feel like getting caught out in the middle of it if it suddenly starts coming down. That is fluent and natural. Starts coming down is also a great phrase for rain. This is how daily English sounds when people are making ordinary choices based on ordinary conditions. Let's move into the language of checking on someone after a long day, because those conversations are full of realistic, warm English. Do you imagine Abigail calls her friend Carter in Boston and says, "Hey, I just wanted to check in and see how the rest of your day went." Carter replies, "Honestly, it got a little better after we talked." Abigail says, "Good. I was hoping things would settle down for you." Carter answers, "They did, eventually. The first half of the day was rough, but it eased up later on." "It eased up later on" is a very useful phrase. Abigail says, "I'm glad to hear that." Carter continues, "Yeah, I still feel kind of drained, but at least I'm not carrying the same stress I was earlier." Carrying the same stress sounds very natural. Abigail replies, "That's something." This kind of conversation teaches you how to follow up with someone naturally, how to respond to emotional updates, and how to sound supportive without sounding formal. Shall I try a practice paragraph like that? "Hey, I was thinking about you, so I just wanted to check in and see how things ended up going. You sounded pretty stressed earlier, and I was hoping the day would ease up for you a little before it was over. That is beautiful daily English. How things ended up going and ease up for you both sound warm and natural. And the more your English starts sounding like life, the more natural, advanced, and confident it becomes. Let's bring everything together by moving into one more important layer of daily English. The language people use, what they are trying to keep life flowing without creating extra stress for themselves or for the people around them. This is where fluency starts to feel especially natural, because real English is often about making transitions smoothly. It is about knowing how to move from one part of the day to another, how to explain your state of mind, how to let someone know what is realistic, and how to stay socially warm even when you are tired, busy, distracted, or uncertain. Imagine this scene in Chicago. Emma is talking with her friend Olivia after a long afternoon, and Olivia says, "I feel like I've been in motion all day, and I'm only just now starting to slow down." That phrase, "in motion all day," is very natural. Emma replies, "Yeah, sometimes you don't realize how much you've been juggling until things finally quiet down." Juggling is a wonderful daily word here. It means handling many things at the same time. Olivia says, "Exactly. I think I've just been pushing through everything one thing at a time." Emma answers, "Well, at least now. You can finally come up for air." Come up for air is an excellent expression. It means finally have a chance to rest or recover after being overwhelmed. This is the kind of phrase that makes daily English sound truly alive. Now, imagine you are describing your own day in Philadelphia after everything starts calming down. You could say, "I didn't really stop moving for most of the day, and I think I was just focused on getting from one thing to the next. Now that things have finally quieted down a little, and I'm realizing how much I was actually juggling, I feel like I can finally come up for air and reset." That paragraph sounds natural because it reflects the real emotional movement of the day. You are not only reporting facts, you are describing the experience of living through them. That is a major part of advanced daily English, the ability to explain not just what happened, but how it felt as it unfolded. Another very useful part of daily conversation is the language of leaving something unfinished for the right reasons. Fluent speakers often explain that they are stopping not because they do not care, but because they want to do something properly later. Imagine Tyler says to his friend Chloe in Denver, "I started looking into it earlier, but I stopped halfway through because I could tell I wasn't really focused." Chloe replies, "Honestly, that was probably the right call." Tyler says, "Yeah, I didn't want to just go through the motions." Go through the motions is a fantastic daily expression. It means do something without real attention, feeling, or energy. Chloe says, "That never ends well." Tyler replies, "Exactly. I'd rather come back to it when I can actually give it my full attention." That is excellent natural English. It sounds thoughtful, mature, and realistic. This is exactly how fluent speakers explain pausing, postponing, or stepping back from something. Try a paragraph like that in your own voice. "I could have kept going with it tonight, but I could tell I was starting to lose focus, and I didn't want to just go through the motions for the sake of saying I did it. I'd rather come back to it tomorrow when I can give it my full attention and do a better job." That is a beautiful example of daily English becoming advanced English. For the sake of saying I did it is especially natural. It adds honesty and tone to the sentence in a way that many learners do not practice enough. Let's move into another daily situation that happens all the time: re-entering a conversation after being distracted or pulled away by something else. This matters because real life is full of interruptions. Someone calls, someone walks in, something needs to be handled, or your attention gets pulled somewhere else. Fluent speakers know how to return to the conversation smoothly. Imagine Emma is talking to Jason in Seattle when she has to step away for a minute. When she comes back, she says, "Sorry about that. I got pulled into something for a second." "I got pulled into something" is a very useful phrase. Jason replies, "No worries." Emma says, "What were you saying before that?" Or she could say, "You were in the middle of telling me about your weekend." Jason answers, "Right. So anyway." These are very natural recovery patterns in English. They help you sound calm and socially capable even when the conversation gets interrupted. Now, practice that kind of English out loud. "Sorry, I got pulled away for a minute." "Where were we?" "You were saying something about how the afternoon ended up going, and I didn't want to lose the thread." Lose the thread is another excellent phrase. It means lose track of the point or direction of the conversation. That is the kind of language that helps you navigate real English with more grace and confidence. Another important daily skill is knowing how to describe that feeling when something sounds good in the moment, but not good enough to act on right away. Daily life is full of half motivations. Imagine Ava and Blake are texting in Austin, and Ava says, "Part of me wants to go do something, but not enough to actually get ready and head back out." Blake replies, "I know exactly what you mean." Ava says, "It sounds good in theory, but the thought of leaving again feels like more effort than I want to make right now." Blake answers, "Then that's probably all you need to know." That is so natural. Sounds good in theory and feels like more effort than I want to make right now are exactly the kinds of thoughts people express in daily English. Blake could also say, "There's a difference between liking the idea of something and actually being up for it." That sentence is gold for learners because it captures a very real human feeling in a very natural way. Here is a practice paragraph. "I like the idea of doing something, but I don't think I'm actually up for the effort it would take right now." Sometimes that's the clearest answer. If the idea sounds better than the reality, it probably means I'm better off keeping things simple tonight. That paragraph is smooth, realistic, and deeply useful. It teaches you how to talk about low energy, hesitation, and self-awareness without sounding dramatic. Let's also practice the language of small relief when something ends up being easier than expected. Real daily life includes a lot of worry before things happen, and then a quiet sense of relief when they go more smoothly than expected. Imagine Lauren says to her friend Mason in Boston, "It ended up being way less complicated than I thought it would be." Mason replies, "That's always nice." Lauren says, "Seriously, I had built it up in my head so much that by the time I actually dealt with it, it almost felt easy." "Built it up in my head" is a very common and useful phrase. Mason answers, "That happens more often than people think." Lauren says, "Yeah, I think the anticipation was worse than the actual thing." That sentence is excellent daily English. The anticipation was worse than the actual thing. That is the kind of line people say all the time in relation to calls, appointments, errands, tasks, and awkward conversations. Now, say something like that yourself. I was expecting it to be a whole ordeal, but it ended up being pretty straightforward once I actually got into it. I think I had built it up in my head more than I needed to, and the anticipation was honestly worse than the reality. That sounds natural, mature, and fluent. A whole ordeal and pretty straightforward are also extremely useful daily expressions. This is exactly the kind of English that helps you talk about ordinary life with more precision and personality. Another daily conversation pattern that matters a lot is the language of giving someone room without sounding distant. Sometimes you want to be supportive, but you do not want to push. Imagine Chloe notices her friend Ryan in Nashville seems quiet. She says, "You don't have to talk about it if you're not in the mood, but if you do want to talk something through, I'm here." That is a beautiful daily line. Ryan replies, "I appreciate that. I may just need a little time to get my head around it first." Get my head around it is a fantastic phrase. It means understand or mentally process something. Chloe says, "That's completely fair," Ryan adds. "I think once I've had a chance to sit with it for a bit, I'll know better how I feel." Sit with it is another excellent daily expression. This is emotionally intelligent English, and it appears everywhere in real life, in friendships, family conversations, and even workplace conversations. Practice that tone in paragraph form. You don't need to explain anything before you're ready. Sometimes it takes a little time just to get your head around what you're feeling. If you want to talk it through later, I'm here. But if you need a little space to sit with it first, that's completely okay too. That sounds calm, natural, and very fluent. It is another reminder that daily English is not shallow. It carries real emotion and real human understanding. Let's move into another deeply useful area, the language of finally getting to something you kept putting off. Imagine Noah tells Emma in Los Angeles, "I finally got around to dealing with that thing I'd been putting off all week." Emma replies, "How bad was it?" Noah laughs and says, "Honestly, not nearly as bad as I expected." Emma answers, "That's usually how it goes." Noah says, "Yeah, I wasted more energy avoiding it than it actually took to deal with it." That sentence is so natural and so true to real life. "I wasted more energy avoiding it" is exactly the kind of phrase fluent speakers use. Emma replies, "Well, at least it's off your plate now." Off your plate is another excellent phrase. It means no longer one of your responsibilities or stress points. Noah says, "Exactly. That alone makes me feel better." This is rich daily English built from a very normal experience. Here is a practice paragraph for that situation. "I finally got around to taking care of something I'd been putting off for days, and honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I think I spent more energy avoiding it than I would have spent just handling it earlier. Still, I'm glad it's off my plate now." That paragraph is fluent, natural, and very useful in real life. Many learners understand the words, but practicing the full thought in paragraph form helps the rhythm become part of your speech. Another important part of daily English is knowing how to end a stretch of conversation by naming what the moment felt like. This is not the same as a formal ending. It is just the natural way people reflect on a conversation or a shared moment. Imagine Emma is sitting with her friend Caleb in San Diego after a long catch-up, and she says, "This was exactly what I needed." Caleb replies, "Yeah, same here." Emma says, "I didn't realize how much I needed to slow down and just talk for a while." Caleb answers, "Sometimes that makes more of a difference than people realize." Emma says, "Definitely. It helped me clear my head." Clear my head is one of the best daily expressions you can learn. Caleb says, "I'm glad." This kind of language is powerful because it reflects appreciation, emotional clarity, and connection in a very natural way. Try this paragraph out loud. "I didn't realize how much I needed a moment like this until now." Sometimes just slowing down, talking things through, and not feeling rushed is enough to help me clear my head and feel more like myself again. That is fluent, calm, and realistic. You can use that kind of English after a conversation, a walk, a break, a coffee, or any simple moment that helps you reset. As you think about everything we have practiced in this full lesson, I want you to keep one clear idea in mind. Real fluency is built in daily life. It grows when you learn how to describe being overwhelmed, relieved, uncertain, thoughtful, distracted, supportive, realistic, and socially aware in ordinary situations. It grows when you stop trying to sound advanced in an artificial way and start learning the phrases people truly use. Phrases like come up for air, go through the motions, lose the thread, built it up in my head, get my head around it, sit with it, off my plate, clear my head, and feel more like myself again. These are advanced phrases, but they do not feel heavy. They feel human. They feel lived in. They feel like the natural language of real days, real conversations, and real people. And when your English starts sounding like that, your listening becomes sharper, your speaking becomes smoother, and your confidence begins to grow in a much deeper and more lasting way. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I'm really proud of you for staying here, listening carefully, and continuing to build your English step by step. Every time you practice real daily English like this, you are doing something meaningful for your fluency. You are training your ears to understand natural conversation, training your mind to recognize useful phrases faster, and training your voice to speak with more confidence and ease. Please remember, fluency does not grow in one perfect moment. It grows little by little, day by day, conversation by conversation. And if you keep showing up like this, your English will keep getting stronger. I hope today's lesson helped you feel more comfortable with daily life English conversations and gave you many useful phrases that you can start using in your own speaking right away. Keep listening, keep repeating, keep practicing out loud, and most importantly, keep trusting the process. Even if your progress feels slow sometimes, you are still moving forward, and that matters so much. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss our next English learning video. Take good care of yourself, keep practicing, and I'll see you again very soon in the next lesson.